I've been doing this hobby for almost 20 years, and in that time I've painted superhumans from a distant dark future, hordes of alien races, fantastical team members of some bloody sport, and many other weird and wonderful things in between. There's something that I have never attempted to paint before though. I've never painted a dragon. Well, today it's time to do something about that. My name's Josh, and welcome to the Pickle Jar. So today I'm finally losing my dragon virginity. Wait, that came out wrong. Let's start over. Today I'm painting my first ever dragon. Now this is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I've always put off having a go for a few different reasons. I've never played any game system other than D&D where I would need a dragon. Up until last year, my painting projects have always been guided by what I need next for an army or similar, rather than just having a go at what would be fun to paint. Now that's a positive that I'm managing to take away from the last year. With gaming out of the question, I've been able to focus more and improve on the painting side of my hobby, which I'm quite happy about, to be honest. The other reason that I've put off working on painting a dragon in the past is that honestly, I didn't think I could do them justice. The size and the scale of them means that any errors or mistakes will stand out a mile away, and I've not felt confident enough to try tackling them. Now, that may be an irrational worry, and it's one that I've spoken about in a video before, but it's the truth. I know that I'm not the only one that feels this way, and I think that at one point or another, we all feel like this at some point. I finally decided to have a go when I saw the images of this model posted online. Sculpted by Alex from Warploque Miniatures, this dragon came as part of his Patreon campaign. I love the work that Alex does. His miniatures are always so full of character and charm. He has a range of miniatures available. I've linked both his web store and Patreon down below, so if you're interested in checking those out, then the links are there for you. Now, as I'm sure that you've noticed, this dragon is 3D printed. Now, I still don't own a 3D printer, so Elston from Elstonation printed this guy off for me. Now, once I'd tidied up the various parts where the supports had attached, I tackled the mammoth task of putting this guy together. The parts largely fit together okay, but some needed a fair amount of gap filling, which isn't something that I've ever done too much of. I used some milliput and my new rubber sculpting tools, which cost me a grand total of £3, and set about filling in the gaps and trying to blend the pieces together as best I could. I have said before that I don't really like the building process, but in this instance I found it very therapeutic. Taking all these parts, cleaning them up, fitting them together, and then filling the gaps and smoothing them over, all to create this gorgeous looking model was, well, it was actually a lot of fun. Though still not as fun as the painting would be. Once the milliput had set, I started getting the airbrush set up ready to tackle this monster. Now in hindsight, the milliput could have done with being sanded down a little bit more just to smooth out those joints. I admit I was eager to get paint in at this point, and I let that excitement get in the way. You'll see in the end result that it doesn't look too bad, but on closer inspection the gap filling does stand out a little bit. Lesson learned, I guess. Now the main reason that I'd finally decided to paint this dragon, aside from the model looking absolutely gorgeous, was that I recently got myself an airbrush. Now at this point I'd already had my first outing with it, making plenty of mistakes and getting to grips with the new tool, but now I wanted to actually paint something. Something big would be perfect, providing a larger canvas to play around with different techniques and just to have some fun really. This is not only my first ever dragon, it's also the largest model that I have ever painted. Now, I had learned a lot from my practice session with the airbrush, and this time round I largely got my air pressure and paint consistency spot on. I've still got a lot to learn, and I'm looking forward to continuing to use the airbrush and pick up new tricks as I go, but by the end of this first proper model that I've painted with it, I was very happy with what I'd achieved. Now once I'd finished priming the model, I did a thorough zenithal with white ink, a step that is probably my favourite thing to do with the airbrush. I did get a little bit of splatter during this step, which did annoy me a little bit, and I think this has come from the paint drying on the end of the nozzle and then getting pushed off in chunks. Now it's hitting pretty well in the end result, but it's just proof that I've still got a lot to learn. The images for this dragon showed it painted up in red, and the other versions that I'd seen painted up were also painted in red. Now I decided that I wanted to try something a little bit different with mine. Fans of the channel will know all about my love of bright colour schemes, and this was going to be no different. Using the airbrush gave me an opportunity to do some fun things though, and so I started with a purple coat, aiming for the areas more likely to be in shadow like the lower half of the dragon. Once this was on, I added in a few bits of blue too, just to add a little bit of difference and for these two colours together to act as the shadows. With that down, I went back in with some white ink just to brighten up some of the sections, and then I started to add the main colour, which was always going to be green. Now I thought this guy would look brilliant in a lovely venom green, and as soon as I started adding the first colour, I knew it was going to look awesome. I put the green down on all the areas that I'd left white, spraying over into the blue and purple layer I'd already put down to try and blend the two together. At this stage I was really happy with what I was doing and the results that I was getting. Playing with the airbrush like this, being able to overlap and blend colours together and play with transitions and layers is really fun. It opens up a whole new way to paint models and enjoy the hobby. I wanted to see how far I could go with this model with just using the airbrush, and in all honesty I'm very happy with what I managed to do. Other than the eyes and the mouth and a couple of claws, this was all done with the airbrush. Now I will be going back into this model at some point with a brush to pick out details and really help finish it off, but I am super happy with what I've managed to do just using this new tool. A lot of people talk about airbrushes as though they are in some way cheating, but I look at it in the same way that I do with contrast paint. It's another tool to add to my arsenal that can potentially help me do new things and open up new avenues to enjoy my hobby. I'm still only a beginner with it and I've got a long way to go, but if you're even slightly tempted, I'd say go for it. I'm having a lot of fun with mine and I've got a lot of projects planned for the future. With all that said, I think it's about time that we look at the end result, don't you? Hello. Hey up Luke mate, you alright? Yeah, I'm not too bad, bud. I'm just getting this dragon video edited. You've got something to show me? What do you mean you've got something to show me? Yeah, I can pop over. Alright, I'll see you in a bit. My blood runs cold. Wow, that's big. Luke from Geek Gaming Scenics decided to print off the same dragon that I was working on, except that Luke, as always, went a little bit crazy. Now, this is, I believe, about 200-250% bigger than the one that I did, and it is an absolute mammoth. If you want to see more on this dragon, then go and check out Luke's video over on Geek Gaming Scenics, where he goes through the printing process and the painting process for this absolute monster. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, be sure to leave us a like down below, and if you want to see more from me, then maybe pop along to one of my live streams that I do every Wednesday night at 8 PM. I've linked Warploque Miniatures down below in the description, so if you liked the dragon in today's video and want to see more from Alex, then check out the link down below. While you're there, you'll also find our affiliate links and sponsor links, so if you want to help support the channel, those are two fantastic ways to do so. You could also do what these amazing people did and join our membership program right here on YouTube. However you choose to support us, it's all massively appreciated, so thank you very much. That's all from me, and I'll see you next week with another video.